Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. So, I'm Yazan Zamel. I have served as the president of Sustainable Engineers Association since 2021, where I have engaged thousands of students across the Greater Toronto area through sustainability conferences, career fairs, professional development opportunities, as well as other educational programs to empower the youth to actually pursue careers in sustainability and actually take meaningful climate action. And today I'm actually also representing Student Energy. So, Student Energy is a global youth led organization working with young people on achieving SDG 7. It's currently active in 120 countries across the globe with a network of 50,000 youth. Definitely, we do have a lot of great programs that target young people towards sustainable energy transition. So, some of our programs include the Green Jobs Program, which focuses on career development and employment pathways for youth in the clean energy sector. We also have the Research and Youth Engagement, which focuses more on research and advocacy, and also our newest program, which is the Clean Economy Bridge. So, this is an energy research program in order to promote the transatlantic research collaboration between Germany, Canada, and the US towards the green transition. And we also have the career training program that's focused on career development for youth to advance the energy transition, as well as the chapters program, which is a peer-to-peer learning program. In terms of our impact, we actually have more than 5,000 program participants. We also have 37,000 youth engaged through our programs. We also have established 50 plus youth led projects, and we have also achieved more than 60 student led chapters. So, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to this exciting panel today.
Yes, and you have worked across clean energy, energy efficiency, research, sustainability. How can transition to clean energy become not only a climate solution, but also a pathway to jobs, economic opportunity, and poverty reduction for young people?
Yeah, I think this is definitely an excellent question, and it's definitely a pleasure to be here, especially on the International Youth Day. So, I think for this question specifically, we need to fundamentally change the way we talk about the clean energy transition. We often describe it as a climate challenge, so like decarbonizing our buildings, electrifying transportation, or transforming our energy systems. All of that is important. But for young people, certainly the transition is also one of the largest economic opportunities of our generation. So I think the question is not simply how do we create a greener economy, but I think it is how do we make sure that young people have a pathway into that green economy. This is the real question. And in my own experience across building energy, energy efficiency, research, and youth engagement, one thing that I learned is that sustainability challenges are not only technology problems, but they're also problems of skills, access, financing, policy, and opportunity. And this is where I think that the poverty reduction opportunity becomes particularly important. If we are serious about that inclusive transition, we cannot only create highly skilled jobs for people who have degrees and professional networks. We need technical training, internships, entrepreneurship opportunities, and most importantly, accessible entry points into the sector, making sure those points are accessible for everyone. And this is something that we address in Student Energy. For example, we have the career training program where we had more than 7 cohorts to provide key skills to youth, not only in Canada, but also internationally. And our last cohort was targeting women in Africa. And also, we have the Green Jobs program where we provide subsidies to youth to find jobs and gain experiences. So, we need to make sure that all of our actions and our activities actually benefit the communities that we're targeting. So we need to definitely invest in skills of youth before the jobs arrive. And in this way, the clean energy transition can become more than just a climate solution, and it can actually become a pathway towards economic mobility.
Thanks, Yazan. That was very insightful. So, really, ensuring that actions and activities benefit the youth, and creating accessible pathways, just one of the few things you mentioned. Really excellent. Thank you for that. Through the Sustainable Engineers Association, you have engaged thousands of post-secondary students in sustainability and career development. What skills and experiences should young people be developing now to position themselves for emerging opportunities in clean energy and broader green economy?
This is definitely an excellent question, and that's something that, I get a lot from youth. And definitely, if I could give young people an advice about this, it would be don't prepare for a job title. Actually, prepare to solve problems. The green economy is changing so quickly that so many jobs young people will have in 10 or 15 years may not even exist today, especially with the acceleration of the AI tools. So definitely to remain adaptable in the clean and green energy sector, there are five key skills that youth need to work on. And I think the first key skill is technical literacy. You certainly don't need to be an engineer to have that technical literacy, but I think you definitely need to understand the fundamentals of the system that you're trying to change. Let's say you're interested in energy, understanding energy systems is important. If you're interested in climate finance, understanding the technology behind the projects is important. If you want to work in policy, for example, understanding the science and engineering to ask the right questions is also going to be important. I think the second skill set is going to be data literacy. We're definitely moving into an economy where data is everywhere. Young people should be comfortable collecting data, analyzing it, visualizing it, and also questioning this data. And I think this is a really valuable skill set to turn the information that we get into some sort of decision. And right now, almost all jobs will have data to some extent. So it's a very important skill set to develop. Third one is going to be AI and digital literacy. So as I mentioned, we're definitely shifting a lot towards AI, and being capable of using AI is also fundamental. But I don't think young people should use AI as simply a tool for generating content or just automating tasks, but rather we need to think about AI as a tool to help us multiply our impact. Can we, for example, automate repetitive tasks? Can we analyze information faster? Can we build important tools? How can we use AI responsibly to help communities, businesses, governments to actually make decisions? And the fourth skill that was actually touch based already is the communication. I think this is underestimated among a lot of the technical students. You can definitely be the best engineering student in the world, but unfortunately, if you cannot explain why it matters to a policymaker or a business leader, a community member, or a funding committee, it might be challenging to get your ideas across. So definitely having communication skills is very important. The last skill I would say is leadership through experience. So joining student organizations, volunteering, starting a project, a business, conducting research, or organizing an event, a conference. All of this is very important for you to learn with other students, with other stakeholders, and actually growing in your careers. So I would advise a young person today, I would say build one technical skill, build one digital skill, and build one communication skill, and then put all three into practice on a real problem. And I'm sure Shinezo would agree with me that HRs and employers, they're not only looking for people who know things, but they're actually looking for people who can connect knowledge, who can connect technology, people, and action all together. So your degree would tell people what you actually studied, but I think your experience would show people what you can actually do. So go ahead, grow and flourish in your careers.
Yes, and that was excellent. That was really good. So, and what stood out to me is using AI responsibly, right? Using as a tool to multiply your impact. You already have that information. So it's a multiplier, not the solution, not that's not the answer. It's just a multiplier of what you already know, and is a multiplier, and basically. So that's really great. Your initiatives have reached thousands of students and refugees through education, employment support, and sustainability programming. What have you learned about turning one person's commitment to an issue into a movement that engages and empowers others? And what advice would you give young people who want to start creating change today?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think one of the biggest lessons I have learned is that you cannot build a movement by trying to be the person who does everything. You actually build a movement by making other people believe that they can contribute. A successful leader is actually someone who empowers those around them, and I think this is something very important, is to lead by example. So through Sustainable Engineers Association, we've actually engaged over 3,500 post-secondary students across the Greater Toronto area in sustainability, career development, and leadership. And initially, as part of my thought process, I thought that the impact was about how much we can accomplish in terms of like events, how many people we can reach, how many projects we can complete. Yes, this is important, but I realized the better question is, how am I empowering others to create an impact themselves? How are we enabling others? And that changed how I think about leadership itself. People don't necessarily join a certain movement or an initiative because they care exactly about the same thing that you do. They join because they see a place for themselves in it. So maybe one student may join an initiative because they're passionate about climate. Maybe another student might join because they want some professional experience. Maybe another one wants to join because they want to develop, their networking skill or their leadership skills. So our role as leaders is to actually create opportunities for those with different motivations to actually create a meaningful contribution. So because of that, I stopped asking the question is how do I get people to support, my idea, and started asking how do I help other people actually turn their ideas into becoming a success story. And I think that's something that any young people can apply immediately. You certainly don't need thousands of followers or a huge budget. And to answer your question, Ali, in the chat, you can find five people, identify one problem, build one small solution, then give those five people ownership of what comes next. And that's how something starts to grow. And I have also learned that impact isn't always about creating something completely new. It's simply about connecting people, connecting a student to a mentor, a young person to an employment opportunity, or a researcher to an organization, or someone with an idea to someone with resources. Sometimes your role is to build that bridge that allows someone else to become the hero of their story. And definitely, we do want to encourage people to be enabled. We want to create leaders, and certainly, this is something that we should be trying to do in order to build a movement of impact.
I love that. That's good. The fact that he was create the bridges that enables the youth becomes heroes of their stories, heroes of the actions that they take. So it's not necessarily towards the organization, it's towards the people, the participants, the people you want to empower, them seeing themselves as the hero, as the, taking ownership of what they're creating and what they're being part of. So I love that. That's really cool.